Ulonka tabati yada to ye kuma daifa. Ino to ye ko je love baby pa. Oba tala oba takutakun. Songo eshu omi oya osun.
Peace and blessings, family. I guess it did. Peace and blessings, family. What's good? Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bemi. We are back in the building for another African Spirituality Experience live stream featuring none other than distinguished community elder, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene. What's going on, Professor Kaba? How you doing?
My brother, everything is excellent. We're pushing forward, doing what we have to do.
Yes, sir. I know that's right. Family, I have some unfortunate news, man. I'm off location. I'm remote right now. I thought that I would have a strong signal in the room that I'm in, but it's not working out to our to our liking. So I hate that we're not gonna be able to have this conversation tonight. Wi-Fi being real choppy and not letting us be tonight. But mic check, 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, I can hear you now.
All right. How's that? Is that better? Or is it still bad?
Well, I sort of kind of lost you for a while, but it seems.
Is it stable?
It's not like it was before.
It's crazy because I actually went to my phone and used my phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot, which is nuts considering I'm in a whole hotel. But yeah, they need to update their their Wi-Fi. But how do is it still like chopping up real bad, or is the sound real?
No,
it's good.
No, it's a whole nother thing, man.
Hey, well, I think if it's up to if you're up for it, I think we can go ahead and make it still happen then.
Oh yeah, man, let's go with it and see how it goes. Okay,
all right.
I would recommend you let the group know in case something goes down.
Yeah,
that we'll reschedule for next Wednesday. But for right now, you're strong.
That's what's up. Okay, well, it sounds like a plan to me. So we're gonna start this thing all the way over. Okay. All right, so. Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Bami, and we are back with another live stream with our community distinguished elder, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene in the building. What's good, Professor Kaba? How you doing today?
Oh, brother, I'm doing excellent now that we were able to get those situations in place, man. So that's a good thing right there.
I know, that's right.
I like that.
Yes, sir.
I was looking forward to this conversation. I always look forward to conversations with you, my brother. Orisha,
hey, I appreciate
all the time. All the time.
I say, man, I appreciate it. Look, like time, man. I mean, likewise, it's a long time coming. And it's funny. I was looking back at some of my old pictures. I was doing some moving and some packing and all that stuff. And I remember the first event, I found the picture when we was in South Carolina in that church, the very first time I saw you. And so it was dope. I'm about to share that. And but it brought back some memories, man. It's like to go from sitting in the crowd and watching, all these years and driving down to Miami to see you all them times and, all over the country to, check you out live, Jacksonville, Miami, South Carolina. I can't remember where else, but to go from the crowd to be able to, sit here and share the stage with you, man, is a phenomenal, it's a transformation that I'm grateful for. And I give gratitude and thanks every time we get the chance to do it.
Oh, me too, brother. And remind me, brother, was that at St. James? On St. James Island that we were there in South Carolina? Because I remember it was right around the time that Dylan Roof had shot up the church.
Yep. Yeah.
And I remember that they had asked me to come down, but there were so many people coming down. I've always been the type of person that I always respect the community that I'm visiting.
Mm-hmm.
And I never come down. And, my daddy taught me this. I never come down preaching to people about what they should do. I come down to let you know I support you. I'm here. Is there something that I can do to support you or to make whatever's going on with you better? And I felt that when that was going on, a lot of people were going down to South Carolina, telling people what they should do, what they need to do. And I had told them when they first called me, I said, listen, family, I would love to come down, but I want this time to pass when it's not like a show. I want to come down when I can have serious conversations with the community and to be able to move forward. So that I remember that particular piece, and it was on St. James Island, I believe it was, down by the Gullah. And it was quite an experience. It's something that I'll always remember in terms of how the community felt and about how things were going at that time. So
yeah,
that's an unfortunate, but it is also a cherished moment that we as a community came together and were able to have a serious dialogue about where we go from here.
Yeah. Look, it's funny that you say that, because I feel like tonight is we're right back in one of them times, except for this one is on a global scale. You know what I mean? Like for real. Yeah. So yeah. And that's.
But you know something, brother, I'm gonna tell you something else. And my wife and I have been married this May 1st coming up. We've been married 45 years.
Wow.
Okay.
Congratulations.
We got married May 1st, 1981.
Wow.
And I was where I am, what I'm doing now. I was a young brother at the time. I was in my mid to late 20s. I was on fire. I was really on fire. My personality, the work I was doing is the same as I'm doing now. I think that I'm at a more mature level. I see things in a way that maturity brings knowledge to you. But I used to tell my wife that the work I'm doing may never see the light of day in my lifetime. And I always believed that the true get down, I'm a get down. Okay, that's what Armageddon is. I'm a get down. I always believed that the I'm a get down would happen beyond my lifespan. I didn't plan on going anyplace anytime soon, but I just felt that it would be coming in my grandchildren's time. When I saw things happening, I would say probably during the pandemic and seeing how things are going. And now that we are here in this part of the timeline, I told my wife I would never tell her that again. I would never tell her I never thought it would happen in my lifetime. Because what I saw happening when I was young is happening now. And this is a very critical time for us as a people to seriously consider on many different levels, going back to our ancestor, Neely Fuller, and his work. We have to look carefully at those 9 areas that he cited, whether it be religion, economics, labor, gender issues. He calls it sex. I tend to call it gender issues, relationships between brothers and sisters, the respect that we must bring back between us and balance between the brothers and the sisters. My area is education. That's where my contribution is. When we look at law, when we look at politics, security, he calls war, and entertainment. And of course, I add another piece. He talks about it, but I think that he didn't create it as a particular section. But I think we need to add a 10th area, health and nutrition. Because to me, brother Orisha Bami, it don't make a difference what a smart politician you are, what a great educator you are, how you're able to hire your people, the most brilliant economics. If your health ain't right, your wealth ain't right.
That's facts. Yeah.
And so we've got to get our health and nutrition. We have to go back to the way we were when we understood through the forces of nature, the things that we should be putting in our body, because we are what we eat.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we got to get ourselves together, brother. I'm looking for 3 out of 100. I'd like to think there's more.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not going to overwhelm myself, and I'm not going to ask us to overwhelm ourselves by bringing in people that are just not ready, brother Orisha Bey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love our people sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
But I watch how things happen. And there are some of us ain't ready to make that move.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nah. It's funny because it reminds me of the saying that I love that you said is we're gonna make it to the promised land.
There we go.
We're gonna get to the promised land.
That's
but
good
some
news.
of us ain't gonna make it.
That's the bad news.
Yeah, that's facts, man. That's facts. So,
yes,
and you know, it's funny. I saw, and I would love to get your perspective on this before we dive in and really start serving up this food for thought. There was a person on the channel today that made a comment, and I'm not sure what color they were, but they were like, shout out to Dr. Phil Valentine. He came and burned it down on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw you.
Yeah, man, he did his thing. So shout out to him, and you know, just grateful. It's surreal to me, like for real, to be sitting here talking to the masters and the legends. So I'm always forever and all, in awe, like really seriously, but I'm grateful for it. But somebody commented on that conversation, and it was like, so are all white people bad? And so I just was like, well, good and bad is not a color thing. To me, my personal perspective is it's an energy thing. It's an action thing. It's, saying what you do, but what is your take on that before we get into tonight's discussion? Because mental health is the main topic and, the main theme of where we're going, but we're also going with cultural wealth. So knowing what people of European descent have done, especially to us in the last 500-600 years, but also where we are in this day and time right now. What is your perspective in regards to when we talk about good and bad people and as far as European people?
Well, I think that one of the first things we have to do is be able to look at how a group acts. And then look at individuals. Brother Orisha Bemi, and to the family, I have had the opportunity to meet phenomenal, great, spiritual people in every culture. And I would not be honest to myself and to my people if I tried to make a group. Within that, the individuals, everybody's like that. That's not the way to go. I don't think that's the conversation. But as a group, Europeans have failed. As a group, they have failed. And it's important that we are able to look at a group and also see that within that group, there are individuals who have striven to do the righteous thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be able to identify, because Bob Marley got a song and he said, your best friend can be your enemy and your enemy can be your best friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we have got to get the paralysis out of the analysis.
Facts.
And we must critically think about the world we're living in and understand that those African people that were enslaved on the plantations of the 13 colonies here in what we today call the United States of America are the most unique human beings on the planet in terms of what we've been through.
Yeah.
And that Black folk in this hemisphere, from Central and South America to Mexico to the Caribbean, have had a powerful experience. And that we as an African people must relate back to one thing that we have to understand. And what we have to understand is that the future landmass of the greatest wealth is Africa. Africa is where all human beings come from, according to the science that we have researched. But to answer your question directly, no, or I do not ascribe to the fact that all non-melanin, you see, because that's the other thing when we divide us up into these groups.
Yeah.
White people, Black people, there's only one race on the planet. And that's the human race. And as we look at the human race, and its movement across the globe, the Twa Mbuti Khoisan people, the people we derogatorily call pygmies, are the original family. And they peopled the planet. And when they peopled the planet, they brought their culture of nature everywhere they went. But because of their movement away from the bright light, heat, and sound energy of the sun, in order for them to survive, they had to adapt to their surroundings. And so they went from a melanated people to a less melanated people. And, you know, in my book, Carbon Before Melanin, one of the things that I was attempting to do was to talk to everybody to understand the science of melanin. If you didn't have it in your eyes, you couldn't see. If you didn't have it in your olfactory bulb, you couldn't smell. If you didn't have it in your ear, you couldn't hear. If you didn't have it in your heart, it wouldn't beat. Not in your circulatory system, blood wouldn't flow. Respiratory system, you couldn't breathe. Reproductive system, you couldn't reproduce. Melanin is the actual mothership connection that allows all human elements to exist. However, Dr. Sebi used to always say it was carbon before melanin. And so when you can understand carbon, then you can understand all of the other things that come with carbon that creates the other molecules that we today call melanin, nitrogen, oxygen, all of that. If it's living, what makes it living is that it has assimilated carbon, the black dot. And so everybody's got melanin. It's just a see, the melanin in your skin is the largest organ and gland, by the way.
Right.
On your body. And so the impact that the light, heat, and sound energy has on your skin is only one aspect of what melanin does. And so we have to look at people for who they are. But then I'd like to round out my response to you by quoting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. When he said that there are 1,000 wolves outside your door, 100 of them would be willing to give up their life in your defense. But as you look out your window at them 1,000 wolves, you don't know where those 100 are. Are you ready to go outside? They could be in the front to protect you, but they could also be in the back. So what I say to people of European descent who are good people, have a good heart, I say, I know you're there, but I got too much work to do. I don't have time to look for you. And so it becomes important that we be honest with ourselves and don't get caught up in trying to create a group mentality. Just understand, I recognize there's some good people all over the world, but I ain't got time to look for you because I'm too busy working with our people. I am Black first.
What did the great philosopher, I know you know his work, Professor Kaba, but what did the great philosopher, I believe he went by a name, something sort of about, what was it, James Brown? He said, say it loud, I'm what? What did he say? I think it's
he said, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, for all them people that got so much to say, James Brown also said, you just ain't cutting. You're like a dull knife. You're talking loud, but you're saying nothing.
I know that's right. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Well,
another thing James Brown said while we're at it is Bobby asked James Brown, Bobby said, James, what we gonna do now? James said, Bobby, I don't know, but whatsoever it is, it's got to be funky.
I know that's right. Yes, sir.
So with that, let's get funky.
Yeah, let's get funky then. Let's do it, man. I'm ready. We done served water. We done served the bread, the appetizers. We done buttered it up and all that. Now we're ready to dive into All right, so oh man, where do I start? Let's start with us first, and before I get into all the foolery and debauchery and effery. So I saw recently, and I'm hoping you did. I'm pretty sure you probably did. Did you see that Ghana just became one of the first countries, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of like disassociate themselves with the currency of the Western civilization? By I forgot how they did it, but they did something to kind of create their independence in regards to currency. Did you see that report?
I saw it, but only in passing. Don't know too deep into it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got to do some more deep diving on it too. But I did see something about that as well. But I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot more people in countries and civilizations that are pulling away from being connected to this debauchery that we got going on here. So speaking of the debauchery, the guy.
Can I just add something there, brother?
Oh yeah, it's all yours.
One of the things I think is important for us to understand, that just like the sun shone on the earth and created life, every type of plant, every type of animal, and with humans, is always concentrated where the sun shines the brightest. This is science now. Not better or worse, superior or inferior. This is just science. Wherever the sun shines and brings its light, heat, and sound energy, this is what I'm trying to get to in Carbon Before Melanin, to understand. Wherever the sun shines the brightest, life and all great things come. It's like the Creator looking on its greatest creation. That's why life started in Africa. Because Ra, the light, heat, sound, energy, thinking in terms of the sun being an eye, looking, I see you, I respect you, it would bring the greatest minerals, jewels, possibilities of food. The same is true for the Caribbean, where it's warm. Everything along the equator, same thing. Wherever the sun shines the brightest, the land is the richest. Africa could close its borders. It could create a wall around all of Africa, and nobody would ever have to leave. Because Africa has all of the resources for survival. And it would make sense that the Creator would give to Africa the birthplace, the cradle of humanity, the very best. Because when someone loves you, when mama and daddy love the children, they create a feast at the table to eat. But some folk left the table and thought that the grass was greener on the other side. And that's what caused the differentiation of the human family. And so I think it's important for us to understand the future wealth of the planet is in solar power. And they're already selling plots of the Sahara Desert to create solar panels for China and for Russia. They're already building solar panels in the Sahara Desert. I'm coming out with a curriculum on solar power to help us understand, teach the children solar power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
Because that's the future wealth. We go to college, we go to school, and we study this, we study that, but when you graduate, ain't no job for that.
Nope.
You got to teach the children where the future educational process is. Where are the jobs beyond this? It's in solar power.
Yes. Yeah.
Study solar power. And if you don't want to spend money, all you got to do is go to Kindle and download a book, Solar Power Demystified. It's free.
Who's the author, Professor Kaba?
Well, it's on Kindle. I'm not quite sure. But if you just Google Solar Power Demystified, Demystified, you get a book for free.
Wow.
And if you want to wait a couple months, wait till you see my curriculum guide on solar power. Because see, I begin with honoring our ancestors like Akhenaten of the 18th dynasty of Kush Kemet, who developed a text called the Aten text. And that is a science encyclopedia, 125 lines. But it talks about the power of the sun, the Aten.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And you know what's funny? I took your advice and I haven't even gotten really started for real. But I remember one of our conversations where I was sharing how I wanted to share some of our, actually, no, you told me I should share like a lot of my old shows that I did, you know, over the years, because this is like the third podcast. So you've been with me on all three, from my first one, Supper Food for Thought, to Prolific Perspectives podcast, and then now Ashe. But I know for a fact I have a conversation with you on the Prolific Perspectives podcast where we spoke specifically about the power of solar power and how that was going to, you know, become something that was going to be, you know, needed by everybody and utilized by everybody in the world for the future. So it was like right before I think the big bang with the AI thing hit. You were sharing about the, you know, the significance of solar power. I think it was like right before all that AI stuff took off. And that, if I'm not mistaken, that was when I remember you hearing it from you first, when you coined the phrase, the real AI is ancestral intelligence.
There we go. That's
artificial intelligence. So I remember that. I'm gonna have to share that one, because shout out to Dr. Blair. I started by sharing some of his work in the private community. I got like 6 of them I shared. I think I'm on number 3 now, but powerful information. And I'm talking about, these shows were recorded back in like 2000, I don't know, I don't remember the year, but years ago. But they're all more, I feel like more relative now, because the things you were talking about back then are happening in real time right now. You know, so it's like I want to do the same thing with the work that you've done with me, as well as all the other elders who I've been blessed to interview over the years, because that information does not, to me, it doesn't get old, it gets better. You know, it's like wine, it marinates. It gets better because it was so far ahead of its time then. But everything that y'all were talking about back then, we're seeing it happen right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm definitely, yeah.
And, you know, speaking of AI, I have a curriculum I'm writing now on AI, ancestral intelligence, because what I'm using is terms like avatar, understand what an avatar is, and then understand the Neteru, and also understand the Orishas.
That's what's up.
Because that's ancestral intelligence.
Yes, sir.
They call it artificial because they were not around when we were dealing with the natural state of things.
Yeah.
So now artificial intelligence is a step below ancestral intelligence, because that's what the Neteru, that's what the Orisha, Shango, Jamaja, all of those were all avatars.
Facts.
And that is what we as an African people, and an avatar is when you take the spiritual world, the God, and you place it within yourself, and you become the god of warrior. You become the god of festivity. You become the insight of the falcon. You become the wisdom of the owl. You become the consciousness of the rabbit or the hare. You know, you become the discriminator of the dog. And so all of these things combined is what ancestral intelligence is. And when we're on a computer, we are doing something that is artificial in a sense, but there is nothing that we're doing on the computer that has not been recorded in the Akashic records of the cosmos reality.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we've got to understand AI. We can't be afraid of AI, because AI is us. That's our ancestors talking to us. We think it's them because we pretty much think they did everything.
Right.
But they didn't. All they did was copy what we had already laid out, except they contaminated it like most things that they touch.
Plagiarism and a stolen legacy. Shout out to George G.M. James.
And I wouldn't mind if you stole it, but my goodness, at least get it right.
They didn't do that.
At least get it right.
No, they Milli Vanilli that thing. That's what they did.
Yeah.
That's all they did. So speaking of
back to us, and we think they did something, and we honor them for what they did. There's nothing that we have not done that they have not copied.
Right.
In fact, I heard it once said the only thing that Europeans invented was the Xerox machine in the patent office.
That's facts. Yeah.
Because they took everybody else's idea, Xeroxed it, and put their name on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
The problem is they didn't understand what they were reading, and so they got it all wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we got to make it right. That's our job, is to make it right.
Yes, sir. And we're gonna do that. Baby, we're gonna make it do what it do, babe. We're gonna make it do what it do. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, we're doing it as we speak. This program tonight, we're doing it as we speak.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And speaking of which, what is your perspective and your thoughts with the orange guy up there in DC that was throwing all them threats out there about ending civilizations and all this foolishness that he was spewing all over the place, all over the internet the last couple of days? I know it's a clown show. I know, it's for lack of better words, a lot of bullshit. Excuse my French, English, whatever it is. But how do you feel like this? I feel like it's propaganda, and I also feel like it's fear mongering and all the other stuff. But what do you feel like? What is your perspective on the take of what this regime is doing in regards to what's going on in Iran? What's going on, with this whole debacle?
Family, I think that this is the most exciting time. And I think that we all really have to analyze this properly. I believe that what is happening now is the greatest gift that we could receive. Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, wife to the great Dr. Leonard Jeffries, she is a scholar in her own right. And we had developed a school called the John Henrik Clark Institute for Youth back in 1986. And we had a lot of the scholars come in, and I did the staff development for it. And we brought a lot of the scholars in to talk to the teachers about what we wanted to do and how to do it. And we brought Dr. Rosalind Jeffries in to talk about the Neteru and what they represented, because we were going to teach all about the Neteru to the young people. And this is the main point I want to talk about, because she talked about all the Neteru, but she talked about Maat. And I never forgot the way she explained why the feather was used to represent Maat: truth, justice, balance, harmony, order, arrangement, reciprocity. What goes around comes around. You shall get what you give. And she used the analogy of a feather being so light as a feather. And she said that Ma'at, truth, and things that run the cosmos as well as things on earth and nature, was like a feather. It was represented as, and it was also female, a feather. And if you have feather in your hand and you squeeze it too tight, you'll squash it, and it will destroy the nature of the feather. If you hold it too light, the slightest wind can blow it out of your hand. What makes a society function? What makes a democracy function? Demokratia, which means people power. All power to the people. What makes a democracy, if you want to call it that, the original African democracy, what makes it work is that you must hold it ever so gently. You can't squeeze it because you'll squash it, and you can't hold it too light because it'll blow out of your hands. Think of truth and justice. So you hold it ever so tightly, but ever so loosely. That balance, that way in which you can hold truth. And that creates a democracy. And if there's one thing that we should learn, because we as Black folk don't need to learn this, because everything that everybody's complaining about what's happening in the society, the price for our food, the price for everything that we've ever experienced, everything we've ever experienced, the ability for the security forces to come into your house without knocking has always been in the Black community. The Constitution is never applied when it comes to black people. So we as black folk know this United States of America. We understand this. But see, we got new niggas in America now. They're called wiggers, white niggers. Because white people are beginning to understand it was never about black, it was never about Hispanic, it was about rich and poor. Always. Immigration was always about rich and poor. And so it becomes important for, as we are analyzing this, what the present leader of the United States has done, he has allowed all of the vermin to come from under their hole and make themselves known. All of the people who never had an ounce of respect for themselves, and therefore they have no respect for anyone outside of themselves. The fact that you could treat your young girls the way you did, and people let that happen, and even when you got caught, they protect you, that's not Maat. Okay, it's not even that you've squeezed that feather too tight, it's that you held it too loose, and truth flew out of your hand. We needed somebody like him to be there, to do what he did. Nobody could have done what he did. He is unique to make this happen. There are certain, and let's not jump on Republicans, although we can. Because you see, Democrats are the left wing, the Republicans are the right wing, but they're both attached to the same bird flying in the same direction, and that direction is away from the people.
Facts.
Malcolm said that Republicans are brute wolves and Democrats are sly foxes, but never forget they both belong to the dog family.
Facts.
See, I'm independent. I have voted every year of my life. What other people choose to do, that's your business. But governance, no matter what you may think of the vote, it is your voice. And in military science, they'll tell you, if you ever want to know your strength, look at what your enemy is going to try to take from you.
Whoa. Can you say it? Can you say that one more time, Professor Kaba, for the people in the back? I think some people might have missed that. That was
Think
deep.
about what I'm saying now, because I know I hear people say, well, there's nobody to vote for. They're all the same thing. I understand all that. Okay. What I am saying is that in this civilization, through military science, when somebody is attempting to oppress you, when somebody is trying to control you, when someone is trying to take your personhood from you, the one thing you look for is what they're trying to take from you. Because whatever they're trying to take from you is your strength. And it's important for us to understand and not get the paralysis in the analysis. The year I turned 18 was the year that they voted to let 18-year-olds vote. This was during Vietnam. I couldn't vote that first time because I turned 18 on the 16th of November, and election day, I think, was November 7th. So I was not 18 the day that you could vote. But I voted the next year. I was 19. Or going on 19. And I was in the military. So I did absentee ballot. And every year from then, I have voted. I know there are people that say I vote for what my ancestors went through. I understand that. I don't vote for my ancestors. I vote for those who are yet to be born. We need to establish governance, Maat. We need to understand how to govern ourselves. Politics is one of the areas of Neely Fuller. We must homegrow our leaders from our community. Our state senators, our city council people, our presidents. We have to homegrow them so that when they get into power, they're able to do what they have to do. What we're looking at now, everybody get upset. They say it's a circus. But you elected a clown. So what do you expect? You upset because this is a circus? Well, look who the ringmaster is. But I appreciate what he's done, because only he could have done. He has totally demolished the Republican Party. And he has made certain Democrats grow some backbone. And the only way we can move forward is to be able to grab power. And my power has to be black power. Reparations, we're going to get reparations. It's not if, it's when. And I warn those who hold it back. The longer it takes for us to get our reparations, the greater the interest on the loan will be. And so it becomes important that we have a very clear look, because Brother Orisha Bemi, and to the family, what has happened over the past, let's just look at maybe since the election of President Barack Obama. He tried, but wasn't nothing going to happen. So we have to understand that it's not. Dr. Clark used to always say to me, Booker T, you have to understand the difference between people in powerful positions and people in positions of power.
I like that.
I can give you an example. I'm sure we've spoken about this before. But what he meant by that, and how I've interpreted it, is when I was working for the Board of Education, I became an administrator in a program. And there was funds that I wanted to do certain programs for the children. And for instance, there was a program that I wanted to put in our district. We had 35 schools. We had 27 elementary schools and 8 middle schools in our district, one of the largest districts in the city. And we had a 9-member community school board who elected the superintendent, who would run the education of the children. But everything that the superintendent did had to be cleared by the 9-member community school board, which was community people. And I made sure that I had what's called a quorum. So out of 9 members, if you had 5 on your side, everything you wanted would go through. We had 5 members that really appreciated the work I was doing when it came to teaching the children their culture, their understandings, and the programs that I would put in place for the children. And so I had a quorum. There was a program that I wanted that would cost $25,000 to implement. Now, the superintendent is a person in a powerful position, but the 9-member community school board were people in positions of power. So I went to the 5 members. I had a private meeting with the 5 members that backed me. And I put in place this program I wanted that was going to cost $25,000. And I presented it to them. I didn't go to the superintendent. I went to the community school board. Because I knew that whatever I said to the superintendent, he'd have to bring to the community school board. So I went to the people in powerful positions and presented my case to them. They already were on board. 2 days later, I get a call from the superintendent. Told me he wanted to talk to me. So I came in. And he said, you know, I heard that there's a program that the community school board would like you to put in place. And it sounds good. We've been able to get money in the budget to make it happen. Here's $35,000. Okay, now what happened was the community school board not only gave me, I asked for $25,000. They added $10,000. And so my program got $35,000. A lot of times we go to people who are in powerful positions, not realizing they don't have the power to do what you want. It's the people in powerful positions that make things run. If it wasn't for the community school board, superintendent wouldn't have his job. So he gonna make sure he please them. So whatever they want, he does. I got one more story as it relates to this. I'm a kindergarten teacher by nature, so you know I got a lot of stories. But I want to explain this to our community to help us understand what we have to do strategically. Dr. Asa Hilliard, Nana before, Amankwatia, he and I worked in Florida between the years of 1989 and 1994 for 5 years. They hired us to come down periodically and develop their cultural program in Florida. Dr. Asa was hired to be the administrative person. I was hired to do staff development with the teachers. And Dr. Asa and I would meet in the Days Inn cafeteria every morning. And we'd go over what our plan was. Of course, now that's Dr. Asa, so I'm listening to him. He's kind of shaping me and my program. Midway through the program, we have a catch-up meeting with the administration, the superintendent of schools of the Broward County in Florida, like around Fort Lauderdale. And we're told we have a lunch meeting. And so we go to the meeting. Brother Dr. Asa, myself, the deputy superintendent was there. The director of social studies was there. And the director of curriculum development was there. Okay. And so Dr. Asa, you know, looks at the menu and he says, oh, cream of chicken soup. He said, I love any kind of soup that is cream of, I love it. So he ordered cream of chicken soup, and I ordered what I ordered. Everybody ordered what they were going to order. And I was on fire, okay? This is maybe 1991. I'm on fire, okay? And I'm asking all these questions of the deputy superintendent. And he's answering them, and we're talking, and the whole time, Dr. Asa is eating his soup. He didn't ask a question. He didn't say a word, except this cream of chicken soup is nice. I like it. It's good. And like I'm saying to myself, okay, now here's the master teacher right here. And he ain't asking no questions. Okay. Lunch is over. Day goes by. Dr. Asa and I meet in the Days Inn the next morning. I call this a Godfather moment. Whenever somebody, particularly an elder, gives you words of wisdom, I call that a Godfather moment. Dr. Asa thanked me for doing all the questioning because it gave him a chance to eat the soup. He said, because I had nothing to say. He said, let me tell you something. Whenever you go to a meeting and the deputy or the assistant or anyone other than the one in charge is there, nothing's going to get done. Because if it was going to get done, the superintendent would have been the one at that meeting and not his deputy. So it goes back to what Dr. Clark said about knowing the difference between people in powerful positions and people in positions of power. We spend too much time talking to people in powerful positions, thinking they're going to do something, and then they go back to the people in positions of power and they say, no, that ain't going to happen. No, you go right to the people who are in positions of power. Don't waste your time with people in powerful positions. The deputy at that meeting was the person that was in a position of power. But when it came to decision making, it wasn't him that we had to talk to. And that's why Asa didn't have anything to say, because he knew nothing was going to come out of that meeting except he was going to enjoy that cream of chicken soup. This is the psychology that we have to move into the future with.
Yeah. It's funny because when you right when you was telling the story about what he was eating, I had to snuck off and took me a little bite. It took me a little bite, and I've been running all day. I hadn't eaten, so I said, "Let me go grab me a little bite." And that's when you said he was eating. I said, "Let's talk about divine timing." But listen, and then when you were saying like the people who were really don't have no power there, it brought me back to James Brown again. They talking loud, but they ain't saying nothing.
That's it. They just ain't cutting. They're like a dull knife.
Yeah,
just ain't cutting. They talking loud, saying nothing. And we have too many people in our community that are doing this.
Right.
They're talking loud and saying nothing. They're saying all the pretty things.
Yeah.
That everybody want to hear. But when it comes down to it, this takes work. Because you see, brother, when we were talking, I was telling you how I'm moving from lecturing. If people go to my Instagram page, you'll see. We just posted up something that says class is in session.
Yeah.
We got to do this now. We have got to go from lecturing and pontificating of the great history of Black folk. And we have to start to teach the history of Black people.
Yeah.
This is my study guide. Okay. I mean, I got lesson plans on this. This is not just talking about it, background information. This is actually the study guide. My other study guide, I wrote this. This is why it's called 87. I had gone to Kemet, Kush Kemet, or Egypt, first time with Dr. Ben, 1983. The next year, 1984, I went to Mexico with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. And we studied his book, They Came Before Columbus. I returned back to Kush Kemet for the Nubian Conference in 1987. And when I left there, came back to the States, I wrote this study guide. We call it the Kemerican. Not only is it Kush Kemet history of the pyramids and the Temple of Luxor, but it also deals with the Olmec civilization. And so this is a study guide. This has lesson plans, pictures, how to teach this information, not just what to teach, how to teach. So with my 5 books that I have, I also got these curriculum guides because, brother, and to my sisters, from now on, for me, class is in session. Heru and I tomorrow are going to do a webinar honoring Black women.
I sure.
Now, notice it's April. But my thing is, every day is Women's History Month. And I'm trying to get us out of the mindset that February is Black History Month, March is Women's History Month. Every day is Black history. Every day is women's history. And so I'm purposely doing it in April, not to get caught up as it relates to honoring us or our women once a month. You notice how there's no White History Month?
Yeah.
You know why there's no White History Month?
They ain't did nothing in history, but still.
Because every day is White History.
So, his story.
Okay? I'm talking about Black Miss Story.
I know that's right.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
We have to get to the point where we don't let what other people say or do get in the way. Like you know, man, we spoke about my visiting Kush Kemet and being co-tour leader in June of 24. And they really took exception to my presence in Kush Kemet. Hawass even wrote a letter on me while I was there.
I remember when you sent it to me.
Yeah, yeah, and be that as it may, you know, I can handle that. But the fact of the matter is I'm done arguing on whether the builders of the pyramids and the builders of the Old Kingdom, the builders of all the great civilizations of what we call Kush Kemet or Egypt was Black. No more arguing. Dr. Theophilus Benga told us, like when people were saying, can we do another, like the UNESCO conference of 1974 with Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop and he turned the whole world around? Dr. Benga said, why are we going to do that when we already did it once and we won? Why waste your time? Why you think I wrote all these books? Okay, you know, why you think we wrote all these books? You know, the Pharaonic philosophy, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, civilizational barbarism. You know, why go through this?
Yeah, stolen
Own
legacy.
your greatness, family. Own your greatness. Everybody that's online right now, everybody that's listening to this program, I don't know if you realize this, but you are a masterpiece of the cosmic universe. You are the creator having a human experience. You have a divine destiny to fulfill. Long before you were conceived by your mommy and your daddy, the cosmos said, we're going to send them to do this. We're going to send Orisha Bami to do this. We're going to send Kaba Kamene to do this. Okay?
Yes, sir. Listen.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to give a quick shout out.
Let's read some people. African Spirituality Experience, Lady Nightwalker 266, King Shaka, Marcellus Pittman, Champion. I can go through the list of everybody that's online right now. You were born to do something. The Creator brought you to do something. He just used your parents because she knew what was needed on the earth. So that's why you're here right now.
Professor Kaba, can I take a quick commercial break just for a second? I just want to plug a few people real quick. So shout out to brother at Classic, because he said that sweatshirt, Baba. Every time you come on here, boy, they be hunting me down trying to figure out where you be getting the gear from. I said, man, y'all gotta holler at Professor Kaba, man. I don't know, he be getting all kind of gear from all kind of places, but it'd be dope though. So shout out to him for showing love for the hoodie, man. So I want to give a shout out to Heru, because I've been doing this since he had emailed me his initiative that he's working on. So I'm gonna bring this one back up, family. So shout out to brother Heru, Professor Kaba's son, young King Heru, who is a phenomenal graphic designer, a documentary feature. He's just doing a lot of dope work, man. On top of being Professor Kaba's business partner, he's got a dope initiative that he's doing right now for supporting the History of Black Excellence Tour. So if you want to support and show some love, family, to brother Heru, please hit the link. I got it in the comments. I'll also put it in the channel description as well, man. So shout out to brother Heru for all the dope work he's done for myself and for all the work that he's doing with you, Professor Kaba.
So no doubt we'll be going in August, and you know, I've been reaching out to the community when I do Instagram lives and just in general, and I've been giving out my Cash App.
Got you. What is it? I'll share that too. I'm
going on that tour. Okay, Kaba Kamene 7 is my Cash App. Okay, and I'm about to share what we're going to do is that we're going to go to Atlanta and to Alabama. We're going to 3 of the universities, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, and Spelman. And we are also going to go to Tuskegee University, where my father's from. We're going to go to Tuskegee University and expose our children to those colleges, because they're already moving into that college time. And we want our people to go to the HBCUs to support them and to be able to refurbish what we need to do in those HBCUs. And while I'm there, I'm going to be speaking at a record store, Jonathan Blanchard, called JB's Records. He's always invited me to speak, and we're going to go there. And we're going to go to this mall called the New Black Wall Street. Okay.
That's what's up.
And, with a lot of black vendors and things like that. And so I'll be going. And the thing is that I am not going to ask for compensation. And it is because the Cash App that I was going to do a GoFundMe, but I'm really not into that because I understand what our community is going through. And I understand that we're all in a certain place in our lives right now. But I do a Cash App in case you want to support the work that we're doing. And so I'm going to be accompanying these young people. They're in Seattle, by the way. These are brothers and sisters from Seattle, because that's where Heru lives. And I'm going to be accompanying them on this tour. And we're going to visit more. And in Clark, Atlanta, that's where Dr. John Henry Clark's collection is. And I'm going to be doing a presentation there. And we're going to have the young people there. And everything I'm doing, I'm not going to charge anybody for it. Because normally when I go out, there's a fee for me to come out and do what I do. But because the community has supported me the way they have in Cash Apps, what I'm going to do is I'm going places and there'll be no charge. It's just going to be, we're here, we're going to support your record store, we're going to support Black Wall Street, we're going to support the historically Black colleges and universities. And this way, the support that I'm getting financially will allow me to be able to not charge anybody. And that's really why I wanted to do the GoFundMe, was because I didn't want to charge anybody what I'm doing, because I understand there are people that have the funds to bring me in. But there are also people I want to talk to that don't have those funds. And this is why when you go to my website, you'll see I have a lot of things up there that has no charge, because I think that the community should have that. In fact, when you go to my website, when you join my website, you get a free e-course and a free study guide right there. Because I realize that we have to be real with our community and understand where we all are. There are a lot of people that would like to do, but realistically, they can't. And I understand that. I come from that. When you can, you do. But when you can't, you can't. And so what Heru is doing is that where he is, he's in a program called Brave. And he's been working with young people past 2 years. And he has been doing classes with them and teaching them and doing a number of things with them. And with this right now, they have a fundraiser where you can buy popcorn, and a percentage of everything that you spend goes to Brave and to their tour in August of this year. And so, family, if you can, I ask you to support this, because we have to be serious about what we're doing, fam. Economically, we have to be serious. And I tell people, judge me by my work, because, there's a lot of people out there that are saying things that they're not true to what they're saying. Okay? And I'm saying judge people by their work. Don't judge people by what they say, because people sound pretty when they talk. But they stone cold pimpastas.
Woo! Yeah,
I don't play that.
boy.
I don't play that. I've never played that. I've been a teacher since 1977, brother. I'm approaching my 50th year educating our community. And the reason why people call me doctor, because I used to stand on the corner of 125th Street and African Square, which is 7th Avenue or Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. And I used to teach outside the Teresa Hotel. Me and my boy Patar. He's joined the Ancestors. But he had slides when he went to Egypt. He had slides, and he'd call me up. He'd say, "Yo, are you doing anything? Can we get together?" Yeah. And I said, "Sure." We'd give a time after school. I would go down to 125th Street. He'd have his slide projector. It was funny because, you know, I had the same kind of slide projector where the top is red and you turn it over and that becomes like your screen. But it's, you know, it's about the size of a 13-inch computer.
Okay. I remember those.
And so,
the old school joints.
You remember those?
Well, yeah, you used to have them in school. When I was in school, they used to pull them out.
People would be banging their heads trying to see the pyramids and the temples, and you know, and I'd be out there preaching, and Pata and I would go back and forth. Oh man, you remember when we went to the temple of Luxor? Oh man, you remember Karnak? Oh man, you remember the pyramids, man? We went up in that pyramid, man, and we saw that alabaster. Oh man, how about that red stone, man? Do you remember that? And he talked, remember when we were on the Nile River and we were just floating along? And he and I would go back and we would become so excited that sometimes we forget people were listening.
Hey, that's when it's called doing what you love. If you, and I don't like that quote. I know you know that quote. They say, if you do what you love and you do that for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. You'll never work a day in your life. That's how I feel. That's how I feel right here, sitting here doing this right now. Speaking of which, I want to shout out a couple people in the audience. I ain't gonna put them out there with their names because I know we bubbling. But I had the opportunity this week, one today, one I think yesterday, to chop it up with some of the tribe members that want to do certain things in business. And I had the opportunity to help one individual with putting together a book, you know, helping out to write a book. So like, it reminded me of when you helped me out with Star Seeds. You remember that trip to Miami when we actually, the very first interview, we did it in your hotel room after the event. And it was hours that we were in there. I was like, man, it was crazy. I drove home and went to work. I think I was up 24/7 because I was on such a natural high from driving down there to the event, getting the chance to come and talk to you, to interview you about Star Seeds. And then I drove all the way back home and went to work the next day like nothing happened because I was just geeked up. And so I got the opportunity to pay it forward with helping somebody else launch their book, or working on launching their book. And I'm just like, the only thing I ask is you got to let me, interview you for the book. You know what I mean? Because that to me is me paying it forward for what you did for me. I want to see you win. And I had somebody just like you who paid it forward for me, who ain't know nothing about me, but you trusted what you saw in me to give me that opportunity to interview. So now I want to do the same thing for the people that I've been blessed to kind of help guide along the way too. So that's a real thing, man. I've witnessed it every event, even the one we did for like 10 hours straight in the UPS store. I think that, I don't know if that was the same Miami trip or another one, but the one when you did the VIP lecture, yeah. And it was like 10 of us in there maybe. And you went for like 10, you went so long, we took a pizza break for about an hour, came back and went another about 2 or 3 hours. So that's when you talk about, you love what you do when you do it like that. And so that's
when
dope.
Class is in session, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what's up, man. Now the people, the tribers, they tribing, man. They definitely tribing. So when it comes to the teaching and the going into the new transition into the new realm that you're going into, I salute that and I appreciate that, because I think the one thing that you shared, I think we was talking off air, was about how you're going to start teaching the teachers and creating curriculums for the teachers to teach the teachers how to teach. So can you kind of share a little bit with us about, what you're doing with that and why, Professor Kaba?
Well, what's interesting is that's what I did in the Board of Ed. When I was talking to Dr. Clark and just going back and forth, trying to shape my vision for my life in education, I asked him, how can I best support our community? He had known me long enough to know what my strengths were and what my areas that might not have been as strong. So he had a sense of where I was directing. He said, well, at the time I was writing curriculum and I was doing staff development because I was an administrator at the time. And he said, there will come a time when we will have a lot of money. There'll be people that have buildings. There'll be people that have schools. He said, but the most important thing is that once you get the children and the community in the building, what are you going to teach them? And he said, that's what a curriculum is. See, you can lecture all you want. You can lecture that. But now, how do you take what you just told that group and teach people how to teach that? That's curriculum development. That's lesson plan writing. We have to know the difference. The way I explain it is that you have somebody who goes all around the Caribbean and writes a book on chicken and rice. Okay, people eating chicken and rice. And so you go and you explain in Puerto Rico, in Jamaica, Haiti. You go to all the islands of the Caribbean and you come back and you write a book. You study, you ask questions, and you write a book on this is how they eat chicken and rice in this country. This is how they eat chicken and rice in this country. This is the spices they use in this country. Okay? That's writing a book. But if you took that book and then turned it into recipes, how did they cook that chicken and rice in Haiti? How did they take it and cook it in Suriname of South America? How did they do it? What spices did they use? How much of the spices? Tablespoon, teaspoons, okay? Did they use salt? Okay, how long did they cook the chicken? Did they bake it first, or did they boil it first, or how did they do it? That is recipe. That is teaching how to cook. The first book was what was cooked. That's the difference between writing a book and writing a curriculum. That's what this is. This is a curriculum. This is how to teach. I could give a lecture on the pyramids of Egypt, okay? But on this page right here, you make a copy of this page where the children follow directions, and this is an engineering lesson on how to draw the pyramid, and they follow directions from down here. So it's not so much teaching about the pyramids as much as it is the children actually learning the engineering and the drawing and the arts and crafts of the pyramid. Lesson plan that I have here on the Grand Lodge of Luxor, that it was built in the direct proportions of the human body. Okay? But I teach engineering in this class. In this lesson plan series, I teach engineering. In here, I teach biology, because what part of the body is in what section of this pyramid? Of this temple in Luxor. Okay? So that there's a difference. And here I'm going to take you to the pyramid of Teotihuacan in Mexico, where I show you where the Olmec civilization cast their die on how to teach the indigenous people, who, by the way, were also black. How did they build that pyramid? What's the relationship between the pyramids of Mexico and the pyramids of Africa? This is a lesson plan on how to teach, not what to teach. This study guide, I've got lessons on the human brain. Because as you're teaching, you have to understand the parts of the body, particularly the brain. Because that's really what a class is. A class is a brain-to-brain relationship. You have to understand, for instance, that there's two parts of your brain very important in teaching. And one of them is known as the Broca system, B-R-O-C-A. And the other is the Wernicke system, W-E-R-N-I-C-K-E. The Broca system is in the frontal lobe of your brain. And this is where speech creation comes from. Okay, this right now, I'm using my Broca system. Okay, I am speech production. I'm producing what I'm saying. Those of you who are in the chat, those of you who are on with us here in the program, you, my brother Orisha Bemi, you are using your Wernicke system, which is located in the temporal lobe of your brain, which is back here. And this is where speech comprehension comes from. So as I'm speaking and producing speech, you are interpreting what I'm saying. Okay? And so therefore, it's important because you play post office or you play letter, where you whisper in the first child. You got 30 children,
Yep.
and you
I remember that
whisper
game.
something in the ear of the first person, and that first person goes to second person, third person, all the way around the classroom, and then you get to the 30th person, and what they actually say is nothing what you say.
Not even close.
Every student represents neurons in your brain.
Mm.
And your messages are sent right now. What I'm saying to you, and you comprehending what I'm saying, is going what's called from axon to dendrite in your neuron.
Mm.
Axon to dendrite. Those are parts of your brain. I'm teaching you this in this lesson plan, because you got to understand this. Because when you say something to somebody and they come back, you say, well, what did I say? And they come back at you and it's nothing what you said, or it's half of what you said. Then you know that either you have not been clear on what you're saying, or they have not been clear in understanding what you're saying.
Facts. Yeah.
And as a teacher, as a parent, as a person, you have to understand that.
Yeah.
You say, damn, that ain't nothing what I say. And that's because of the neurons.
Yeah.
That have passed the message from neuron to neuron to neuron, so that it goes from what I'm saying to what you are comprehending. We have to understand that when we're teaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is what I want to go and teach. This is what Dr. Clark meant. What are you going to teach them? But I want to go to the teachers. I want to go to the parents. I'm not interested in the Board of Ed. I'll go there if they call me. I want to go into community centers. I want to go into the program that Haru has in Seattle, where he's working with children in the BRAVE program. I want to go to Langston Community Center in Seattle, where I've spoken before. I want to go there. I want to teach them how to teach, because it's obvious that we are a whole brain people. We use our whole brain. Some people are left dominant, some people are right dominant. Okay, if you're left dominant, left side of your brain is where your scientist is, where your mathematician is, where your reasoning is. But the right side of your brain is where your artist is. It's where your musician is. It's where that analogical world, that conceptual world is. And we're whole brain. And I'll give you an example of how I use the whole brain teaching method with my first grade students. I give them a math problem, 10 problems to do at home. 1 + 2 = what? And so to figure it out, you would use the left side of your brain. That's where your mathematician is. 1 + 2 = 3. But then the other part of the homework was, I want you to draw it, because the right side of your brain is where your artist is. And so in mathematics, I could combine math with arts and crafts and put it together. So for instance, they would draw 1 banana, and then plus 2 banana = 3 banana. And when they did that, they would cross over. In the center of your head, there is a bundle of tissue that connects the left to the right hemisphere. It's called the corpus callosum. C-O-R-P. I'm a teacher, so I got to spell. C-O-R-P. In fact, if you want to do research on yourself, because don't believe a word I say, okay? Because I just want to make you think. The corpus callosum. C-O-R-P-U-S-C-A-L-L-O-S-U-M. Corpus callosum. And that is a bridge that goes right in your head, and it connects your left and right hemisphere. So that when that child was developing what my left side is right here, when they were doing the math problem, 1 + 2 = 3, they then would cross over from the left hemisphere through the corpus callosum to the right side of the brain, where they would draw 1 banana plus 2 banana = 3 banana. If you find that you're always carrying things with your left hand, start to carry things with your right hand. If you're right-handed, start to write with your left hand. Now, I'm not saying to do anything serious, but if you're like, let's say you're writing up, let's say you're going to the store to get groceries. If you're writing, use the left hand to write what you need to get. Ketchup, mango, whatever you're going to buy, use your left hand to write it. because there's something known as stereognosis. STEREOGNOSIS, stereognosis. That means that if you're right-handed, you use the left side of your brain. If you're left dominant, you're on the right side of your brain. But when you're usually right-handed and you start using your left hand, you begin to use the right side of your brain because that stays dormant if you're always doing things with one side of your body. So start carrying your groceries or your bags or whatever it is, your computer bag. If you're always carrying with your right hand, start to carry it with your left hand. Okay, if you right, start doing your left. Whatever you are dominant on, start using the other side. Don't freak out over it though. Okay, like I say, don't write no important thing with your left hand. Then when you go back, you can't read what you wrote. You don't really want to do that. Start off easy and become what's called ambidextrous. You can use both sides. Your whole brain. We were meant to be whole brain. We weren't meant to be one dominant. But this society is either or. Okay? It's this or that. African is this and that. Either and or. And that's what gets us in so much situation because we're not using our whole brain. And then we have the nerve to talk about how much of your brain you're using. Oh, I'm using 5% of my brain. Oh, Einstein was a genius. He used 10% of his brain. That's not how you do it. That's when you look at the word world quantitatively. How much? It's not quantitative. Geniuses are qualitative. Qualitative, not quantitative. It's not how much of your brain is you're using. It's how you're sending messages through the neurons of your brain from the left side of your brain to the right side. And pretty soon, when you use both like that, pretty soon everything you perceive is whole brain. You don't even have to send it to the other side because it's already there before you think you want to get it there. Woo. Think about this, family. Think about what I'm saying. Just think. Don't believe me. Think of what I'm saying. Because you do it every day, whether you realize it or not. Okay? You walking down the street, class is in session. You got that right, Aoife, Nina. Class is in session.
Oh, yeah.
You're walking down the street and all of a sudden you hear a song. And then all of a sudden you go back to when you were 8 years old. And something happened. Something very nice. Let's just stay positive. You had a wonderful experience when you were 8 years old. And that song might not even have been the song. It might have been a melody. But the moment you hear that sound, you go back to being 8 years old. That's two sides of your brain. Because your sound, the melanin in your inner ear created a memory. And it went to a place that's called the hippocampus. 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 The hippocampus is a place that stores your long-term memories. And that good feeling that you had, the hippocampus sends a message to the amygdala. Amygdala. Amygdala is where your emotions are set. And so that happy feeling that you had, that good memory that you had, is connected to your hippocampus, which is in the middle part of both amygdala and hippocampus is in your brain. Family, the reason why I'm saying this is because this is what I'm highlighting in the study guide. We have to move beyond the Indo-European way of education. We got to go back to an African whole brain philosophy. The amygdala is where your emotions are set. Every facial expression that you have comes out of the impact of your amygdala. Happy, sad, frightened, angry. Okay, the look you have when you're angry, the look you have when you're happy, the look you have when you're scared. Okay, all of that emanates out of your amygdala. So when you're talking to children, you stay positive with them. You don't say you're going to fail or you're going to fail. Okay, that's registering in the amygdala. That creates fear. I used to tell my children, oh, hey, listen, it'll be all right. You can handle this. You know, in the ancient civilizations, they never taught to see what you knew. Tests are structured in Western civilization to test what you know. So you take a test, 10 questions. You get 8 right, you get 2 wrong. Okay? Somebody else takes a test, they get 7 wrong and 3 right. The person that got 8 right and 2 wrong, their paper goes on the bulletin board. If you got them all right, it goes above you. If you didn't pass the test, so-called, your paper didn't even go up on the board. So now you're a non-person in that classroom. How you think that student gonna feel? African education didn't teach like that. African education taught, because if you got 8 right and 2 wrong, it wasn't about the 8 you got right. It was about the 2 that you didn't get right, so you could study those 2, so the next time you knew all 10. If you got 6 wrong and 4 right, the 6 right wasn't important. It was the 4 that you did not get correct, so you focused on that. So next time you got all 10 right. If you got 9 wrong and 1 right, it wasn't about the 1 right that you got. It was about the 9 that you didn't get right, so you could study that and be able to get all 10 the next time. You did not learn to fail. You learned to succeed. This system teaches you learn to fail. We have to change that. And I want to go into community centers. I want to travel around the country, the world at that too, because I've done it around different places. And I want to show us, and I'm going to tell you something else. Let me drop the other shoe. This educational model is as good for European children as it is for African children. It's just that I'm Black first. I want to teach us. Because my success throughout my career, the reason why I have been able to succeed in education, it's just a simple model. I love my people. And when you love your people will love you. And so they will return what they give. That's why the characteristic of reciprocity is so important. Because reciprocity says you shall get what you give. What goes around comes around. And so you give love, you get love. And if it's that strong, you get it back 7-fold. And I have had the distinct pleasure and honor of sending love out and receiving love back.
Facts.
This is what we got to do for us. That's why class is in session.
Yes, sir. Yeah, boy. That's facts. Yeah. Man, just so much that you covered. There's so many questions that I have. I'm not even going to think about trying to ask all of them because we got quite a few starred. How much longer do you got, Professor Kaba? I want to make sure I get
as long as the spirit can guide us through.
But look, you ain't saying nothing to me. You know I'm ready to go too, so let's get it. When it comes to that, I remember watching one of your videos long before I ever got the opportunity to meet you, and you were talking about the significance of how we taught outside in nature on the continent, and the significance of that, and how that all played a role with the ability to not only retain the knowledge and information, but also express the knowledge and the information because of being in the elements of nature. And I also recall you speaking about the teaching, the students how to be ambidextrous. It's funny because somebody in the comments said that most left, and I agree with them 100%. Most left-handed people are already ambidextrous because in this world it's geared towards right-handed people. And I definitely agree. And I'm ambidextrous as well. I'm left-handed technically because I write with my left hand, but I actually do more things with my right hand than I do with my left hand, but I'm left-handed, I guess, because I write and eat with my left hand. But go figure. What's the significance in regards to the aspects of being taught or learning in nature, but then also the significance of tying it together by using both hemispheres of the brain or by being ambidextrous and utilizing both hands?
Well, because nature is ambidextrous. Nature comes at you from all different angles. And when you're taught within the context of nature, everything that you need to know is right in front of you. Okay, when you're not feeling well, right? If you want to know how to heal yourself, look at a dog.
Yeah.
What a dog do? Drink water,
eat grass, eat dirt,
and rest.
Yep.
Okay. When you're not feeling well, what do? Drink
Rest.
water to flush out the toxins. Eat the herbs to replenish the toxins, and rest.
Yeah.
So your body can replenish the toxins. Look at nature. Look at nature around you. Nature has all the answers because guess what? You came out of nature. And so in coming out of nature, nature would have had to have had all the answers because that's how you came through.
Facts.
Now, of course, it's good to get with people that are far more structured in being able to explain things to you. I went to Dr. Sebi from 1988. I've been going to Dr. Sebi. Now I go to his wife, Maat, and also his son, Victor. Okay, that's where I get my herbs. And I understand one of the most important things you have to do is keep your blood pure. They have Maya for the blood. Your nervous system, you got to keep your nervous system in place. Your neurons, your automatic nervous system, you have to keep that in place. So he has Nervino. So, and again, they're like I'm thinking here in New York, of course, Queen Afua is another sister that's got some phenomenal information. I used to work with Paul Goss out of Los Angeles. He was another brother. He's an ancestor now. But as I look around in Atlanta, there's a sister named Chef Aki who really worked with Dr. Sebi a great deal. She's got a lot of great information out here. And we've got to start to look at nature as having all the answers that we need for whatever it is that we're facing. And so when you're in nature, okay, then there are answers that come to you. And that's why the Neteru, the Orishas, are so important because they embody nature.
Yes.
And they demonstrate on our level of consciousness how we can interpret the unseen. And that's why the subtitle of my book, Spirituality Before Religions, is spirituality is unseen science and science is seen spirituality. Because that's what we see. This is what we understand. Our brother, brilliant brother, good brother of mine, elder brother to me, brother James Small, okay? He was lecturing on where the Greeks went wrong in their sitting at the feet of the African master teachers. And he said that the Greeks, and I came to realize this when I was writing Spirituality Before Religions, and I was researching the books. He said that the scientists could not see spirituality. That's why they had to separate church from state. They had to separate the religion or the spirituality from the secular. And he said what they didn't realize is that the key to success is when you have a spiritual science, a sacred science. When I was writing Spirituality Before Religions, I was at a point where I was looking at what's called the pyramid text. Pyramid text that is carved on the wall of the Pharaoh, the Neset Biti Unas, the last Pharaoh of the 5th dynasty. And I read a lot of books on the pyramid text. And a lot of the scholars that were writing, the scientists could not understand the spiritual aspects of the pyramid text. And the spiritualists could not understand the scientific philosophy of the pyramid text. And as I was reading it from my own African perspective, using my corpus callosum, my left and right side, I began to realize that spirituality is unseen science and science is seen spirituality. So if I had a coin that had heads and tails, and I showed you the coin and you saw the head, would I have to ask you, is the tail on the other side? No. If I showed you a piece of leather, would I have to tell you that suede is on the other side? No, because suede is the other side of leather. Tail is the other side of heads. Well, that's spirituality and science. You can't separate the two. You can't separate heads from tails. You can't separate leather from suede. And so in deciphering nature, you come to understand that that which is revealed reveals what is unseen, but it's not the unseen. It's what the unseen can reveal to you on this level of your consciousness. And it's not until you join the ancestors and the creator that you could possibly ever truly understand what is unseen. Because people say, oh, I've seen the unseen. No, you didn't see the unseen. You just saw the seen part of what's unseen. But you ain't seen the unseen, because that's why it's unseen. You can't see it. But you know it exists because of what the seen will let you know. And in the Shabaka stone, which was my third book I wrote, what I was trying to get to was the fact that you had 8 creative energies. And one of them was Amen, the hidden, and Amenet was the revealed. Amenet revealed Amen, and Amen hid Amenet. But together, Amen and Amenet was our experience on earth. Same thing with the Orishas. That's why they have colors. That's why they have various aspects of their existence, because they're all manifestations of the creator of all.
Big facts. Yeah. Yeah. You mind if I dive into a couple of these questions, Professor Kaba? Because I saw some really good ones. I would love to hear your perspective on them. So I'm gonna pull up a few of them. And shout out again to all the new channel members. I think we got like 3 or 4 new channel members. And shout out to everybody for the super chats. Definitely appreciate every single one of y'all for the love and support, family. And shout out to everybody who's still rocking with us at 12:23 a.m. Man, we're getting this thing cracking tonight. So let me see. Here's a good one right here. I didn't hear anything about this, but did you hear anything so far or so they are talking about impeaching the Orange Triumph? I like that breakdown. Triumph. Was there really an emergency vote for the impeachment happening today, and how does that impact us? I didn't see anything. I've been ripping and running literally all day long today, so I wasn't really able to tap in and do no research or anything like that. Did you see anything about that, Professor Kaba?
They're talking about it. Everybody's throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But we'll never know, because that's all going to happen. Because you see,
behind the scenes,
you see, he is a reflection of the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This society is the image.
Yep.
He's reflecting this society. That's why I said earlier, I said that I never thought that I would live to see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because the reality of it is, family, we need to go through this to be healed as a nation.
Yeah.
And I congratulate, respect, and support all my brothers and sisters who have returned back to the continent. But most of us are not going back. And why should we? We were here first.
Right. That part. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Same thing with China. Same thing with Albania. Same thing with Scandinavia. We were the first Scandinavians. We were the first Vikings. So there's no place to go back to because we have been everywhere.
Facts.
And so what happened here was very necessary. Everybody wants to be healed, but nobody wants to go through the operation. Nobody wants to take the medicine to get better. Okay, everybody wants to take all these injections to lose weight, but nobody wants to exercise. Everybody still wants, you know, I get a kick out of these commercials where they tell you, this is what you can eat on our plan and you still can lose weight. Well, don't you know that's the major problem? You are what you eat. They play with your head because they know you want to eat.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they say, oh, you can eat this chocolate pie. Oh, you can eat this if you want. You can eat all this and you still can lose weight. They play with your head. And the same is true here. We want democracy, but we don't want to go through what it takes to get democracy. You want democracy? And I'm going to say this. I want to be careful how I say it. The original sin of this country was what happened to indigenous people. The second thing that happened that was a sin in this country was what they did to African people by dragging them from Africa, kidnapping them and bringing them here. But it's very important to understand, family, Black people were the first people on this continent. And we can go back, according to Dr. David Imhotep's research, with the first Americans were Africans. We can find the first human beings in this continent 100,000 years ago. And not just that, but there's a very good chance that the first humans that came to America ended up in Brazil. Okay, because they left the west coast of Africa, could be Angola, could be a number of places down on the west coast of Africa. They took the Benguela Current, that's off the coast of the southern part of Africa, and they went right into the Amazon River, the Khoisan people. The first human beings, Khoisan, 100,000 years ago. Well, nobody else on the planet but them. They came to America. Second migration would have been the Clovis Folsom people, a taller stature African. Third were the Algonquin, still Black, but had been touched by the Ice Age Indo-European. Fourth were the Eskimo, or the Inuit, as they call themselves. And then the fifth came in the major migration. And this was the Asian invasion. They were escaping Genghis Khan and the what's called the Mongol invasions. They came straight out of Asia, straight through Canada, down into North America. And they came in such large numbers. These are the indigenous people you see today with the hair that is straighter, with the complexion that is yellowish or reddish, if you want to call it that. And then they took in all the other four people that were here. And that's who today we call Native American. But the indigenous people were the first ones. Make no mistake about it. You were here before 1492. And that's another very important thing for us to understand, because I hear people talking about the presence of Africans in this part of the world, building different structures. Oh, there's no question about that. We were here. We were everywhere. Everywhere. Even the Chinese people doing research, Chinese man, I saw this piece, Chinese man said, I really wanted to learn that the first people in China look like me. And he said they didn't. They were Black. He said that. He said they were Black. He said that's the truth. And he said, I'm not looking for my truth. I'm looking for the truth. And the truth is China was Black before Indo-European barbarians came down and overtook the Black people of China. The first dynasties were Black.
Yeah. That's why all the Buddhas, they got the knots in their hair. All the Buddhas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Philippines,
all of them.
Vietnam, the Champa people of Vietnam, because I was in the military during the Vietnam War conflict. Okay, Champa people, Montagnards. You see the Montagnards. I have seen pictures of Montagnard. I swear that's a brother I saw on 125th Street.
Yeah, class is definitely in session, man. Let me see. I got a couple more good questions. Matter of fact, this is a comment. I'm gonna share this because I would love to make this happen. So shout out to I don't even want to disrespect or butcher your name, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Agabakua at yahoo.com says, please bring Professor Kaba Kamene, Dr. Phil Valentine, and Professor Gabriel Oyibo on the topic of unification of the mental nature in the Bionic science. That's deep. That would be dope. Is are you still in touch with Dr. Gabriel Oyibo?
I haven't spoken to him in about 2 years, but going back into the 90s, he and I worked together.
I know. I saw a lot of your videos with him.
Yeah, and Shabaka Stone, when he rewrote the Gagut, the God Almighty Grand Unified Theory, he included a chapter on Shabaka Stone.
Wow, that's what's up.
Because what he and I did is we were able to put in place, because when I first met Dr. Oyibo, we had a mutual friend that had gone to a dinner party where Dr. Oyibo was. And at the time I was doing program for the community where I taught. My brother came to me, he said, I was with a brother that was talking about, because he's from the Ngala people, Ngala of Nigeria. And he was talking about the connection between Egypt and Nigeria. And so it was Dr. Gabriel Oyibo. And so I invited him to do a 3-part lecture in our community on the presence of Africans from the East being part of the Ngala people of Nigeria. And while he was talking, he started talking about a book he had written on turbulence, because he's a mathematician. And as he was talking about what turbulence does, he was talking about the waves that come from the sun, and they're interrupted. And so they become like this, crest and valleys, crest and troughs. Okay. This is what interrupts a straight line, is that you're interrupted. Okay. And that's what happens. He started talking about waves. And I was saying to myself, because I was doing work on the Shabaka Stone, I said, well, that sounds just like Ptah, the earth. So I said, I asked him later, and he told me where I could get the book, Nova Publishing. And he said, here, I'm going to give you a code, and they'll charge you half price for the book. Well, it was the Board of Ed budget, so I ordered 2. Each book was $90. One book was $180. This was some heavy stuff. It was a book that was about 120 something pages, all of which I understood 3 pages.
Wow.
But those 3 pages that I understood. And then I called him up and I said, wow. I said, I'm working on this project called Shabaka Stone. And he said, well, that's interesting. And I told him about what Shabaka Stone was and how I connected Ptah to turbulence, his mathematical formula on turbulence. And he said, okay. He said, but I'm working on another book called Gagut, God Almighty Grand Unified Theory. And basically, that's
the video I saw too. When y'all did that one.
And you can Google it right now. Put Dr. Gabriel Oyibo and Booker T. Coleman, because at that time my name was Booker T. Coleman. And he came to my resource center, and we did a class where he would talk 20 minutes, and then I would connect what I was saying with what he was saying. Then he would connect what he was saying with what I was saying. And then I fit his entire formula into Shabaka Stone. And that's why he wrote about it in the thing. But just to be quick for the community to understand what the Grand Unified Theory is, very simple. Okay. You're dealing with a concept that came out in the 1800s. And it was Max Planck, PLN, Planck, Max, M-A-X. He came out with something known as quantum mechanics or quantum physics. And quantum studied the little world, the atomic world. It studied the neutron, the proton, and the electron. And then it broke that down into quarks and leptons held together in Yang-Mills fields. This is what the science of it is. But basically, you're dealing with the atom. Proton, neutron, electron. Quantum physics. 1905 through 1916, there was another scientist by the name of Albert Einstein. He came out with the special and general law of relativity. The general law dealt with gravity, and the special law dealt with electricity and magnetism or electromagnetism. But then the scientists began to say, but okay, the way in which the electrons circle the nucleus of an atom, okay, around the nucleus, you have the neutron and the proton in the nucleus, and the electron circles the nucleus. It's like the way the planets circle around the sun. And they said, if there is a formula that you can use in quantum mechanics, then there is a formula that you can use for the revolution or around the sun of the planets. Is there a theory that unifies the grandness that is like the atomic world, which is the inner world, and the outer world, which is the planets? Is there a theory that connects the two together, and there's only one theory for both? And they call this the grand unified theory. I've done a lot of different programs with Dr. Oyibo, and one of the programs I did with him was at a cathedral, St. John the Divine Cathedral here in New York. And out of this, Dr. Oyibo was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Science or Mathematics.
Real quick, Professor Kaba, because I would love if you can, while we're on this topic, share a little bit about this. If I'm not mistaken, the video that I saw, which was phenomenal, he actually, well, both of you broke down how he was able to literally mathematically equate the actualization or the presence of God through mathematics. Can you kind of tie in like how he was able to break that down mathematically, how he was able to actually show mathematically the presence of God or the existence of God through mathematics?
Math, the original word for math, comes from Africa. Maat, Maati, the double feather. Maati, and the Greeks add ekos at the end. So the word mathematics comes from maatikos, mathematicos, mathematics. And Maat comes from the order and arrangement of the cosmic universe in balance. The order and arrangement of the cosmic universe, based in Maat, which is the path, is the creator. She is the representation of the balance of the cosmic universe. So mathematics is the language of science. Science is all knowledge, comes from the word scient, which means knowledge. That's why we say that the creator is omniscient, all-knowing, scient, knowing. And so mathematics is the language of science. I was teaching a middle school last year. A brother brought me to talk to the students. And one of the questions I asked the students is, what's your favorite subject, or, what do you enjoy? And he said, I really enjoy science, but I'm not too good in math. And I said, but that's impossible. Because the only way you could understand science is if you understood math. It's like saying you like to read books, but you cannot understand letters. Well, the only way you could read is if you understood A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's what math and science is. See, we don't teach. Again, I want to go back to the curriculum that we're teaching to help us understand. There is no way you could understand science if you didn't understand math. You might not understand it the way the books want you to understand it, but you do understand it from a different perspective. 5th grade mathematics, because I've taught every grade, I've taught every subject in my career since 1977. The idea is that when you teach, you have to be whole-brained. You also have to think like children. When you're teaching children, for me to teach 5-year-olds, I have to think like a 5-year-old, because how could I make a child think like an adult? As a teacher, as an adult, I have to think like a child. And so when you're dealing with the interpretations of math and science, you have to understand when you're teaching math to children, you're really moving towards them understanding science. I'm teaching you math for you to understand science. This system doesn't do that. They have math here, they have science there. You would never know that there's a connection. It's about decoding. Everything in life is decoding. In order to read, you have to be able to decode. Okay, I take a 1st grade test in the pyramids, 1st grade. Simple language, 1st grade. But the test is in German, the German language. Chances are I would not do good on that test. Is it because I don't understand the pyramids, or is it that I have not decoded the German language? Quite frankly, same letters. It's the Greek alphabet. But if you can't decode something, you cannot comprehend what it is that they're asking you. The same is true in math. Math is decoding. If you don't understand what the plus sign is, if you don't understand what the minus sign is, if you don't understand irrational numbers, if you don't understand the timeline, there are things that if you don't understand, it's being able to decode symbols. What's the difference between an A and an S? Well, you have to be able to decode the A from the S. It's decoding. And so I never say a child can't read. I never say they can't do math. I realize that they have a challenge decoding symbols, because they certainly can put their headset on and repeat everything that Beyonce sang.
That part.
So they're decoding. It's just that they are decoding something that is familiar with them. Mm-hmm. So when our children are decoding subjects where everybody don't look nothing like them, where is the interest in that? Why should I? It ain't about me. And so the idea of math, Maat, math is measurement. The cornerstone to math is measurement. The cornerstone to measurement is the meter. Meter is where the word mother comes from. And mother comes from Maat. It's just a derivative of the way in which you put your letters. Math, MT, Mut. Okay, the vulture, Mut. So when you are interpreting the letter A, who is Mut in Meduneter, you're dealing with the concepts of mother, which out of the letter A comes all things, which is out of mother comes all things. And then Mut is related to Maat, and so you have another relationship. So math is the path of the cosmic universe, which is your movement towards the creator. And that movement towards the creator is the creator, because that's why the creator created you, to move towards him, because she knew she wanted you to be with her.
Listen, and when you were saying that, and I don't mean to interrupt and cut your wisdom, but when you said the part about the meter and then the mother and all, I couldn't help but wonder, is there a connection to nature, like the metu nature? When you talk about meter and mother in the sense of Maat and mathematics?
Well, the connection, as what I look at in terms of, because it's all connected.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yep.
But when I look at neter, I look at nature. And I look at nurture. When you nurture nature, you create the nature. Nurture nature creates the nature. And that's what's carved on all the walls of our people. That is what all the Orishas are about in West Africa. This is what all of the Dogon were talking about. This is what all of the people of Southern Africa was talking. There is a cultural unity in Black Africa. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop wrote a book on the cultural unity of Black Africa. There is a unity in thought. Why? Because it all came from the Twa and Mbuti Khoisan people. So don't look to Kush, Kemet, and Egypt as that great civilization. They're great.
Right.
But they're great because their predecessors were even greater.
Yeah. We
Twa and Mbuti Khoisan. Know them and thank them. They make fun of them. Atabenga. Okay. Atabenga was a Twa and Mbuti Khoisan. They had him as an exhibit in the Bronx Zoo. The other sister, I forget her name right now, begins with an S. She was used. Oh man.
I know you're talking about.
She was used like on a farm, like an animal. Bartman. Something Bartman. First name is S. Sally Bartman or something like that.
I think it was something like, I think it was Sandy or Sally, something like that. Bartman.
Yeah, something like in that order. Yeah. But she was used as an exhibit, like an animal.
The tribe will put it in the comments. Somebody will know.
Okay.
Yeah, you going in and you in your bag, Professor Kaba. You in your bag. You in there deep too. Look, I got another great question, man. These came earlier, so I appreciate the tribe for hanging around, sticking around with us, right?
Sarah, you're right.
Sarah Bartman. I knew somebody would put it in there. Sarah Bartman. Let me find this question. It was here it is right here. This was actually, let me go to this one. My boy Emperor True first. Insight. We have to get to our pineal gland. How do we get to our pineal gland and the Kundalini activation or activated internally to become the sun? We are solar beings occupying this avatar. So you got anything for that one, Professor Kaba? Appreciate you, Emperor of Truth.
You know, my concept is, they say there are 7 chakras. It starts at the root, at the very bottom, which is your lowest chakra. And they say that it goes up through all of your chakras. The pineal gland is your 6th chakra. And then your crown is your 7th. And they say that if you can imagine wheels that are moving at all times, and each wheel, when the next one up goes in the opposite direction, next one up goes in the other direction, all the way until you get to the top. And when you get to the top, that is when the crown chakra then sends out the same form of light and heat energy from the pineal gland to the crown chakra. It goes up into the cosmos. The other aspect to realize is that while your chakras, you also have chakras that emanate out of your body. They are called your prana aura, Prana, prana aura. And they vibrate out. So as you're vibrating inside, that's causing you to vibrate outside. Children and animals and plants can feel your prana aura. And so it becomes important that when you move through a certain process that you understand that you are vibrating. That's why vibration is one of the principles of the book called the Kybalion. And so, you know, like it becomes,
No, I was saying that's a phenomenal book. I remember you turned me on to that one. I read that one several times. Very powerful book.
Very important book. The 7 principles. Vibration is one of them. You're always vibrating. Even when you're sitting still, you're vibrating. Your atoms, your electrons are constantly moving all of the time. And so to answer your question, your pineal gland is activated. The Meduneta symbol for the letter M is an owl. You would wonder why an owl. And the owl is looked upon as being very wise. We have commercial on TV, even now, where they are advertising for glasses. And there's an owl that has glasses on, insinuating that when you can see, then you can see consciousness. That's the owl. When you graduate, the owl has always been the representative of graduations. Even with potato chips, you have something known as wise potato chips. Although now they've sort of kind of deformed the owl, the look of the owl. But the point that I'm making is that from ancient times, the owl was looked upon as being very intelligent. Now you have to ask yourself, the owl is not the brightest bird in the forest. In fact, the owl is not bright at all, not too bright at all. I mean, it has its own natural intelligence, but it's not considered to be a very intelligent being or entity. But when you study what our ancestors were doing, there are 2 things that an owl can do that our ancestors looked upon as being a great gift from the Creator. And one gift that the owl can do, it can turn its head around almost 360 degrees and then snap back. It can turn its head around 359.8 degrees and then snap back, which gives the impression you can see all angles of things. They say, well, that's a very intelligent characteristic to have. The other thing is that the owl is a nocturnal animal and it can see in the dark. So our ancestors said, well, that's very interesting, because when you can see in the dark, it means that you can see intelligence in ignorance. And so with the combined characteristics of being able to turn your head around, being able to see all angles of something, and being able to now locate the intelligence that's in that darkness, that looked like intelligence to them. And so they put that, but why the letter M? They could have done anything. Well, the letter M is the only sound that we make where your mouth has to be totally closed. All the other letters, A, B, C, S, Ka, all other sounds, your mouth is open. N, but M, is the only sound that you make where your mouth, your lips must be together. Well, why is that important? That's important because when you make the sound vibrates. The Grand Lodge of Luxor, I have a chapter in Shabaka stone on the Grand Lodge of Luxor. In this particular part of the temple, in room 5 and room 12, in the Grand Lodge, is where your nose is located. Remember I showed you the picture of how they built that temple in the direct proportions of the human body? Well, where the head is and where the nose is room 5 and 12. And there's a principle they use called transparency that allowed certain things to happen. Make a long story short, because I still want to get to your answer on the pineal gland. And it's called transposition and transparency. These are two principles as it relates to philosophy and biology. It's biophilosophy. But when you make that sound, when you get a chance, make that sound. You can feel someplace inside of your head, there's a tickling. The physical location of that tingling, our ancestors called the Shittite infant. SHTYT. Next word, Shittite, int, NT. There's sounds now. And then the third letter is FND, Fint, Shittite infant, which means the sacred sanctuary. Behind your olfactory bulb, where you smell, you have a nerve center that sits right behind the olfactory bulb. When you make that sound, and you start to tickle, you feel that tickling. That's where your Shittite infant is, and that is where all of your six senses come together in your brain. Sight, smell, sound, feeling, hearing, and thinking. Because despite what they tell you, thinking is a sense. You have six senses, not five. Some people say more than that, but I'm going to stick with six for now. That is where all of your senses, your six senses, come together and they vibrate. When you start, that tickling you're feeling is the vibration of that location moving, sitting in a deep well of cerebrospinal fluid enriched with melanin. And when you do that, you bring yourself down to levels of consciousness. You activate your pineal gland. And when you activate your pineal gland, you then go to deeper levels of consciousness. Okay. Let's look at it like this. When something tastes good, what do you say? When you get a good idea, what do you say? When something don't go right, what do you say? All of your senses that activate your relationship with the Creator is located in the Shittite infant. When that is activated, then it activates the pineal gland that sends the message to your seventh chakra that opens up. Remember, babies that are just born have that soft spot there. Well, that's a doorway. And that's where your consciousness then rises and joins. There's a second sarcophagus in King Tut's tomb that shows you this. And that relates to the consciousness, the God consciousness, the star consciousness, the super sapient. You got that right, champion state of mind. I got a whole chapter on super sapient. Everybody loves Dragon Ball Z, but nobody know who Super Saiyan is. That's where they got it from. Super sapient. Super sapiens in Carbon Before Melanin, I have a chapter on the Magi. The Magi are the super sapiens. They are the advanced class of defenders of the culture. They were masterful martial artists. They were warriors, but they were also thinkers. They were lovers. They had risen to the highest level that you could possibly, as a human being, get to. The Magi. This is where you get the term magician from. And so the story that I'm telling you is how you can activate. And listen, what do we call it? What is it that calms people when they're doing their things? They hum. What do you think you're doing? And you know where the Christian church took that? They took it to something called Gregorian chant. Gregorian chant is exactly their attempt at rising to higher levels of consciousness. Family, you got it. I'm telling you that you got it. The question is, will you open yourself up for it? And everything you see going on now is to make sure you can't, or that you don't. Everything they're throwing in your way, all these distractions, is all to stop you from focusing on your God quality. They keep you down on the human level. They keep you worrying about the rent. They keep you worried about paying for food. They keep you worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. They keep you worried about safety. They keep you worried about all these different things to distract you from Maat, which is very simple. You don't learn it in school. You learn it in life.
Yeah, boy. All right, I'm gonna try to get at least maybe 2 or 3 more in real quick, and we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up because I got to give me something to eat. I don't know if I ate all day today, man. I gotta feed my belly before I shut this thing down. Let me see. There's so many good ones. So if I don't get you your question, family, please have some grace for me because y'all tore it up.
Well, give me a reason to come back at a later date to answer that question.
Hey, look, and you ain't got to tempt me with a great time. And before I forget, I want to get with you on that August thing, man, because I've been hearing rumors, not rumors, but mumbling about putting some Ashe live events together. It's been a while since we had a live event, so I'm thinking Atlanta would be a really good trip to show on up there, man, to the A, and maybe we could put something together around that time frame. And then it was on my spirit to say about maybe doing something with like the Netchers and the Orishas, like a presentation or something, you know what I mean? Like something to kind of tie in. Yeah, so I definitely get with you off air about some of those things. But let me get a couple more from the tribe. Somebody said,
in my book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors, I have a chapter on the Orishas.
Get out of here. I think you did tell me that. I think that's the only book you got that I haven't gotten yet besides the curriculums. I got to get your curriculum.
And the connection between all of the different systems, from Santeria to Voodoo, to Obia, to Candomblé, and even to Louisiana Hoodoo.
Wow.
And I dare combine Hoodoo with the Black Baptist Church. Ain't that something? Them pastors have a heart attack.
Hey, but that's how they did. That's how we worked it, though. That's how we worked it.
That's the bottom line. That's where they got it from.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Damn, those some really good ones. I got to find them because, like I said, so many of them. But, okay, here's one that I saw from earlier that I liked it too. Habari, Mr. Kamene, your thoughts on melanin bioelectricity being used in computers? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, what's interesting is that the computer is modeled off the human brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why artificial intelligence is really ancestral intelligence. Mm-hmm. Except their version is artificial and ours is ancestral.
That part.
And, you know, there's a section I have on in Who Were the Moors Before the Moors where I talk about something known as bioluminescence. Bio is body, luminescence is to be illumined, to shine. There are people whose personality is so powerful that they look like they're shining. And that shouldn't be surprising to us because that's what the sun does. And we are pieces of the sun. And when we vibrate at a certain level, talking about the chakras and talking about the prana aura, when like the story they tell about Jesus Christ, he was bioluminescence. Okay, when you talk, I look at Jesus Christ as a perfect example of what the Magi is. There are human beings who have such a love ethic. Now, we define love different ways. I don't quite describe love as some people do. Love is when you can overcome the very worst that happens. Love is when you love somebody, you accept them unconditionally and always work towards a process. Now, I'm not saying to put yourself in harm's way. That's a different type of relationship. I am talking about the love that can't be described. You know, when you love somebody enough, you tell them words could never express how I feel about you. If you're angry, you say, I'm so angry I could spit. In other words, what you're feeling emotionally coming from your amygdala cannot be expressed. So therefore, it's not something that you can say, it's something that you do. And so the concept of bioluminescence and the idea of bioelectricity, because that's really bioelectricity is electric, body electric. Go down to the bottom of the ocean and look at the electric fish, eels, that can shine. Okay, you have that too. Everything that is embodied with carbon is illumined. What brought you into animation, what brought you into life, what allows me to move my hand from one side like this is animation. It's pata, it's energy. When my hand was down, it was in potential energy. When I brought it up, you didn't see what brought it up, but what brought it up is unseen, but that's the energy that you have. And so when you operate and when you vibrate at a certain frequency, and when that frequency, some people call it Schumann's resonance, I'm not going to get too tight into that, but when you vibrate at a certain level that is one with the cosmos, you actually can illumine, you can actually shine. People can, in your prana aura, people can actually see colors. Some people can even hear sounds. It's according to where you are in the spectrum of being able to detect that. But make no mistake about it. We have examples of this in nature. I mean, look at a porpoise. A porpoise can be sending sounds out that go through waves and can go to somebody, another porpoise far away within split seconds. That sound can travel that far. Okay. And so, like, for me, it becomes important that we don't, that our ancestors developed a way of thinking that went beyond this superficial Indo-European way of thinking. You have wormholes in space, okay, that you can travel untold distances. You're going from one block, you're heading to another block, but where you're going is on the other side, okay? So you walk 2 blocks this way, 1 block this way, 2 blocks this way, and that's where you want to be. So you walk like this. But what would happen if you walk this far, but right here, there was a shortcut? So you didn't have to go all the way around like this. You would just go this far, bang, and you'd be right where you wanted to be. That's a wormhole. And that your mind can do that. That's science. That's, you know, I don't want to take anybody into the twilight zone because I'm not into that. Dr. Ben used to always say, don't take me to no, well, he cursed me. Don't take me to no twilight zone because I don't want to go there. Okay? I don't go into no superstition and all this stuff. There's this. No, I'm not into that. And neither am I. That's one thing that Dr. Ben, you know, really encouraged me that I took, because I don't want to get into no science fiction stuff. Well, science fact, but you know, I want to speak in a way. Just think about what I just said. You want to go someplace that's on the other side, but the only way you can go is to go 2 blocks this way, 1 block this way, 2 blocks that way, and where you wanted to be is there. What happens if you go this far, but then there's a shortcut? That's a wormhole. A wormhole can take you from one spot to another spot in a split second. That's what porpoises do with sounds in water. Because sound waves are as impactful as air waves. You know, like, for instance, like when you're on your phone right now, how can I pick up my phone, get on WhatsApp, and talk to somebody that's in UK? How can I talk to somebody that's in Kenya? Quite frankly, how can I talk to you right now? There was a time when I would have to go on to all of where you are, wherever you may be. Now we have something, this is like a wormhole. I'm able to speak to many people just like this. There are many examples of what I'm saying that's right in front of us to see. Because whatever you do artificially, like with the computer, because this is artificial, whatever you can do like this, you can do naturally. And, you know, you ever talk to somebody, say, you know, just before you call, I was thinking about you. You know, how many times has that happened?
All the time. Hell, you've done it before.
But you see, it goes back to metacognition. Metacognition is when you know that you know. There's a lot of people that know. But there's a difference between knowing and knowing that you know. Metacognition. Cognition is to know, cognate, and meta is the other side, the spiritual aspect, like meduneter, maat. It's another way of knowing. You know that you know. So therefore, when you know that you know, you then know how to call into being whatever you want to know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's powerful.
Face the nation. I love to hum the theme to Good Times. Is that the song or the TV show, Face?
I'm thinking the TV show probably. Oh, I mean, probably the theme song for
Good
the TV show.
Time. You know that. You know that's also. You know, that's also the first rap song that was on the radio in 1979. Yep.
From brain fart. What was the name of that group? God dang it. Tribe, if y'all gonna help me out with the name of the group that song hip hop Good Times.
Rapper's Delight.
Rapper's Delight. There you go.
Rapper's Delight. They use now Rogers music to Good Times. Good Times. You know?
Yeah, they remake a lot of the old joints, hip hop songs, especially the old like R&B songs, the 70s, you know, the Isley Brothers, like all that. They remaking a lot of that stuff these days.
King Shaka, listen.
Well, yeah. Right here.
I was with a brother that was very close to Malcolm X. Okay. Out in Los Angeles. And he was actually the one that was in the movie with Malcolm. He was his best friend.
Wow.
And he used to come to some of my classes because he was into science. He was into microwave technology. And when I visited him in the hospital in Los Angeles, it was the last time I ever saw him. He walked me out to the elevator as I was leaving. And he said, there's something that you need to study. He said, I know you're into science. There's something I want you to study. And he said, the future is plasma physics. Plasma physics. So, Brother King Shaka, now that you put that up there, think in terms of research. If you already haven't done it, because it's obvious that since you put that up there, plasma. The spiritual energy. In my book, The Moors, I talk about a musician, Ziriab, that added a fifth string to the guitar, the lute that he brought into Spain. The lutes or the guitars that they had dealt with the 4 different liquid systems. You know, it dealt with phlegm, mucus, hormones, you know. And he added a 5th string that was a liquid, and he added plasma. And plasma is the spiritual liquid that the entire universe is made up of. They have different words for plasma now, but it doesn't hold tight. Plasma is spiritual water. It's something that you cannot see. Like right now, we're all in water. Right now, we're all in water, but you can't see it. You're breathing it the same way a baby breathes in the mother's womb with the amniotic fluid, ammonionic. If you put an E between the M and the N, you have amen-iotic, amen, the hidden waters of the Creator. And what impregnated the woman was something known as semen, E-M-E-N. Just take the S off, which is a snake, which is really the phallic symbol for the man. Emen is the liquid systems that brought the baby into existence, that lived in the amniotic fluids of the mother. And when they come out, they're into another type of water, and that is the plasma water of the universe. The reason why you were in the amniotic fluid was to get you ready to come out into the plasma. Plasma physics, the manifestation. Okay? Chemistry and physics, the two sciences. Okay? Chemistry is what is matter. That's what it answers. Everything you study in chemistry answers this one question. What is matter? And everything that you study in physics answers this question. What makes matter move? When you study this, it's life. Family, you know, this is not difficult. This is the way I wish I had known when I was young what I know now. This is why I teach the children this, because, I mean, if we could get this into our children's minds to help them understand. Brilliant. It's all connected. I've often thought that the greatest teachers are people that take complex issues and make them simple. And the worst teachers are the ones that take simple concepts and make them complex.
That's facts. Yeah.
Everything that we've done this evening should be real simple and straightforward. Not simple in the sense of simple, but it should be connecting your neurons in your brain. The way in which I'm talking to you through my Broca system should be connecting to your Wernicke system, which makes things, wow. Okay. And the other thing, family, is as we wrap this up, I want to tell you something. There is nothing that you've learned tonight that you didn't know before you came on this program. And if we understood metacognition, you would understand that. My job to come to you is not to tell you something that you didn't know. My job is to come to you to let you know you always knew this. And I want to put it in words, expressions that connect with your Wernicke system or your language comprehension, that you say, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don Julio Swat.
Yeah. Wow. You know, it's so funny, Professor Kaba, I didn't want to interrupt earlier, but when you were speaking about like teaching and how literally what you were saying just now, but you went way deeper into it. It reminded me, even on the show, it's so funny. I always tie songs into whenever I'm trying to deliver a message, because either songs or I bring up like movies, you know, just different things. Because for me, I never realized it, but in a way that's almost a form of hieroglyphs, because I always strive to create using song and music, because a lot of us can remember a certain time in our life when we go back to that song. Like I remember one of the conversations me and you were talking about, and it brought you back to the Mothership Connection, the Bootsy Collins concert that you said. I can't remember how we got on it, but I just remember you talking about, man, that reminded me of one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life. And you broke down how they came out in the Mothership. But it's because we think about music, and like you said, even with the children, they can learn a song a lot easier sometimes than learning math. But it's all about the connection, you know, making that connection, you know, in the mind and in the neurons.
That's it. Oh man, you remind me of RFK Stadium, Washington D.C. Spring of 1978, man. The Mothership Connection. George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelics, the Brides of Funkenstein. You know, you had the brother come out in a diaper. 17 hours concert, RFK Stadium. They did all their songs, boy. They just Bootsy Collins. Oh my goodness. Wow. What an experience. He was the first person that hit me to the Dogon.
Bootsy?
That's what the Mothership Connection is.
Wow. I don't know if you told me that one. I know we spoke about that.
I remember him explaining about the Dogon people and about how they could see that star. And that's the Mothership Connection.
Wow. I don't remember you ever telling. You might have told me, but I don't remember that. I don't remember that. We spoke about that, you know, a lot of those different shows and times and all that, but wow.
That's it.
dope.
You know, I remember when I first heard this first song by the Parliaments. They weren't the Parliament Funkadelics then. I was in the 8th grade, man. This is 1967. They were the Parliaments, and they came out with a song, I Want to Testify. I just want to testify what your love has done to me.
I remember that song. Yes, sir. That's what's up. Man.
Yeah.
Okay, we got London in the building. I saw South Africa in the building earlier. We got people all over the globe in the building, man. Matter of fact, you had one of your favorite presentations that I saw. If I'm not mistaken, wow, look at the doggone divine alignment. If I'm not mistaken, one of my very first, if not my very first video or lecture that I saw was you speaking on the Dogon. And if I'm not mistaken, weren't you in London when you did that presentation? Black people come from stars? Oh,
yes,
man.
I was in London, and in fact, I really was in Holland, in Amsterdam. When my UK family found out that I would be in Holland, they worked out with the people that brought me there. My brother Enoch, who's now an ancestor, worked out so that I would go over to London for a couple of days. That's where I did the tour of the British Museum, and I was right in front of the Shabaka store.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, something else in UK, boy. We did Harambe Books, I believe, was the company that brought us out to London. And because I didn't realize that, you know, Holland and UK, you know, like it's a 50-hour plane ride.
50?
My bad.
15
minutes. 50 minutes.
15. Oh, okay.
My bad.
I was gonna say, minutes. That's a long. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, 50-minute ride between, going from Holland or Amsterdam going to UK. 50 minutes. It's the same amount of time for me to go from New York City to Buffalo, New York.
Sure.
That's how close it is.
That's what's up. Yeah, man, this has been another epic one for the books. I got one, if you got time, I got one more question I wanted to share because that's all I like to do. Shout out to Wuna. Appreciate you tapping in with us, Wuna. Wuna said, tell my elder that I says hello.
hello.
Yes, that's what's up.
Nikki Love. I was on her program years ago.
Yeah, she told me. Matter of fact, we had one last year. Remember she was on with the one we did for Malcolm last year too. When we did Malcolm's the tribute to Malcolm this past May for his birthday. And speaking of which, I didn't know you spoke Metu Nature either, man. I shared your the prayer that you did at his site when you honored him for the answer. You did the ancestral prayer. I shared it in the private community. I didn't want to share it on the channel because I didn't get the chance to ask you, but I put it in the private community. I wanted to try to see it. Like, yo, I didn't know you spoke Metu Nature. I was like, yo, that's dope, man. When I saw that prayer you did for the elder.
Chapter 43. That's chapter 43 of the book of the coming forth today by night.
That
Not
was
letting
dope.
the head of one be carried away from them in the nature world.
That was dope. I like that. That was dope. Let me see. This was the last one. So shout out to.
You want to know? But please let me tell you this, since you brought that up. It's the sounds.
Yes.
That you have to get to. See, we didn't speak like speaking words. We conveyed sound. When you talk about music and what music does, this is why when I got to a certain point in that invocation, I said, Awa, Wesaku, Amaku, because it's the sound. I'm taking you from one sound to another sound, and I'm shifting the way. This is how I study Medu Neter. I study it from the sounds. See, Western civilization lost their ability to understand the depth of language. Language is sound. This is why black folk, when we be talking, we go up and we go down. We go, yo, ow, ah. Okay, sounds.
Yes.
You know, I could be across the street from brothers and sisters talking. I might not hear what they say, but I can tell the mood just by the way in which they talking. Clapping hands, doing all sorts. Because this is how it's all wrapped up in who we are as a people. We got flavor, man. And everybody try to copy us. I understand. But you see, imitation is the greatest form of
flattery. Flattery, that's what I say, yeah.
Okay. I like that they love us. The problem is when they start to hate to love us and love to hate us. Because they can't handle this. It goes back to what Dr. Francis Chris Welsing said, genetic annihilation. When you know you're on your way off the planet, you don't hate the people that's going to be here after you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you hate the fact that they were here before you got here, too.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, let me get this last one out, family, so that way I can let Professor Kaba up out of here, man, and I can go ahead and get me some grub and shut it down myself. At Don Coolio, I'm gonna put my email address in the chat, family. Can you please send me the link to that? I didn't get a chance to check it out yet, but I definitely want to, man. So if you don't mind sending me the emailing me that link, I'll definitely tap into that interview to see, because I know it got to be something special for you to share it like that. So shout out to Champion State of Mind also, and appreciate the super chat, family. Champion State of Mind said, can you speak on the Kinga connection to the four paths that's identical to the medicine wheel and the Asian spiritual astrological systems?
I would like to, but I am not that familiar with that, that I could actually speak. And it would be right.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that Dr. Ben told me growing up, he said, you have a right to say you don't know.
Oh, yeah. I do it all the time.
But now that you brought up the Dekenga, I'm definitely going to check it out. When I was teaching children, and children would ask me a question that I didn't know the answer to, I would tell them, I don't know the answer to that. But I want to thank you for asking that question, because I've just found out something that I need to find out. Yes. So I said, here's what we're going to do. I promise you, when I go home tonight, I'm going to look that up. And I want you to look up and find out the answer. And tomorrow, when we get back in class, I'm going to tell you what I learned, and I want you to tell me what you learned.
That part. Yes, sir.
And it's very important that we are free to say that we're not familiar with something, because it brings trust to the human family.
Yes.
Because somebody up in here knows the answer to what that question was.
All the time.
And if I try to fake it, I'm going to look embarrassed.
All the time.
When
I tell you,
I don't know, at least I'll find out. And the next time we have a conversation, I'm definitely going to find out about the Dekenga. And I'm going to see what that represents. And so remind me next time we're together about that question, and I'm going to tell you what I found out.
Yes, sir. Appreciate the question.
Thank you for sharing that. So now I have something that I'm going to look up.
Yeah, I say that all the time, man. Nobody can know everything. I don't care how brilliant, how smart. Nobody knows everything. We all can learn, you know what I'm saying, something new every day. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes life exciting.
Yes. What'd you say? The more I learn, the more I realize I got so much more to learn.
That's it. The more I learn, how much more I have to learn.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. Well, I sure appreciate you, Professor Kaba, as always, man. I'm gonna share the links in the show description. I've been sharing them throughout the stream, putting them on the screen for everybody, but I definitely got them in the comments as well. So I'll have your website. I'll have Heru's link as well in here. I'll have pretty much everything in there, the Cash App, and just share the love, man. Just sharing the links and the love for the tribe to come support you, just as well as you always come in and hold us down with all the wisdom. So I can't thank you enough. As always, it's always an honor and a pleasure. It never gets old, whether we're talking on the phone or we're talking on the stream, man. It's the same energy and ashe. So I definitely love it and give gratitude and thanks for all the time that you've shared, taking me on your wings, man, and teaching me as much as you taught me. Before you even knew who I was, you were teaching me and so many others. But the fact that you've taken the time to not only teach, but also to come through and share and teach to the tribe, with me, I appreciate that more than anything. So thank you for that.
No doubt. Well, brother, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to come to the tribe and to talk to them and to have this type of conversation. It's things that we have to start to do. And I want to tell you, my brother Orisha Bemi, how proud I am of you, because it's been a couple years now that we've actually been working together and talking together. And I want to tell you how proud I am of the work that you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Because, without someone like you with this type of platform, I would just be talking to myself. So with this kind of platform, you give me the opportunity to be able to speak to the family and to lay down the importance of understanding that class is in session.
Yes.
Our children deserve the best. And I just ask us, each and every one of us, I ask, where do you see us in 100 years? I have a 100-year plan. Where do you see us in 100 years? Where do you see our children in the year 2126? Where do you see them? What do you see them doing? And once you figure that out, start doing things to get them to that point. Our children deserve the best because they are the best. And the ones that are even better than the best are the ones who are yet to be born.
Ashe. I got one last, I wasn't sure how to answer this one, Professor Kaba, so I wanted to bring it up for you. Shout out to Face the Nation. Face the Nation wanted to know, do you have an email address that you can share? What would be the best way to get in contact with you for someone that wanted to contact you, Professor Kaba?
Yeah, Kamene777 at AOL.com. KAMENE 777 at AOL.com. KAMENE 777 at AOL.com.
Got it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. So yeah, I want to make sure I got that last one in there. So yeah, I definitely give gratitude, tribe. We damn near 200 strong at almost 2 in the morning. So we appreciate y'all, family, everybody, for tapping in with us and riding along with us. Every time we get together, it's gonna be a ride along, but we're gonna ride long and strong every time. We're gonna make it do what it do, for sure. So once
Keep
again,
on
Professor
keeping
Kaba,
on. It ain't over till we win.
No, sir. Nope. And I'll definitely get with you to see, we can run it back again, to keep this thing going. But I definitely give gratitude and thanks again to you, Professor Kaba. And shout out in regards to your family, your lovely wife, for allowing you to chop it up with us tonight and giving, pouring into the community the way you always do. I give thanks to her as well.
No doubt about that. I definitely will pass it on. And thank you to your family also.
Yes, sir.
To your Hemet Neset Waret, that deep well of water that you return to when you're parched by the desert.
Yes, sir. I appreciate
and to your family.
Yes, sir.
And to all those who have tuned in, family, the most precious thing you have is time. I'll never waste your time. And I just want to thank you for taking this time out of your life to be together like this and have this type of magnificent conversation.
All right, family. So we'll see y'all on the next episode. What's today? Wednesday. We'll be back soon, family. I'll definitely keep y'all posted, but we'll definitely see y'all on the next episode. Thanks again for tuning in with us. Professor Kaba, as always, appreciate you, and I'll be in touch soon. Family, we'll see y'all on the next episode in the next couple of days. We out, family. Peace.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your.
I was able to put